With the addition of Chris Paul onto this Phoenix Suns roster, the team that surprised a lot of people inside the bubble are continuing that success in this new 2020-2021 NBA season that only has 72 games. This team is already 5-1. So what gives? Did this team already have the core to be successful in the break from the last NBA season going into a nice little small sample size of a bubble NBA playoffs? Did the Suns show that they were already making strides? Or is it the addition of Chris Paul that has really propelled this team in an actual fresh NBA regular season? Has it propelled them to 5-1 and at the top of the Western Conference standings? And is this the team we're going to see in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers? If the Lakers make it, of course. So let's take a look at some of these games. They beat the Mavericks by 4 points in the first game. Then they lose to the Suns 1-1. The winning streak was over for them. But then they got the Kings right back in a back-to-back, and they ended up beating them by 16 points. Maybe they just were outplayed, weren't ready for the Kings, but they refocused, retooled, and beat them pretty well. They destroyed the Pelicans. They won by 11 against the Jazz, and then they beat the Nuggets, who have been struggling. I have a video on that. I'll put it up here somewhere. By 3 points. And they're going to play the Clippers tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Chris Paul's old team. They are just all alone with 5 victories in the West, and even in the East, nobody has 5 victories. So the Clippers are next at 4-2, followed by the Lakers, Jazz, Pelicans, Trailblazers, Kings, and Spurs at 8th. Some teams at the bottom, I'm surprised the Nuggets at 1-4. But anyways, in this Western Conference, in this Western Conference, is Chris Paul the final piece that the Suns needed? If we take a look at what Chris Paul has been doing, in the very first game, not much, 8 points. He's had 2 20-point games, but it's, I think, the veteran leadership that the Suns needs, because he just hit a game winner against Denver to put him up. Not only against Denver, but against Jokic, defensive player nominee every single year he's been in the league. But look, 12 dimes in back-to-back games against the Kings. He's almost averaging a triple-double with 13.2 points, 8.7 assists, and he's helping out in the rebound category a little bit, but his shot selection is very low. He only had a high shot selection, and that was when they lost to the Kings the first time at 19. But he's averaging closely about 10 to 11 shots a game, and let alone the times he's getting to the free throw line. So I think Chris Paul is a big reason why this Suns team is being very competitive and is producing at a very high cap. I think Chris Paul's veteran leadership is helping these players realize that they can win, because anywhere Chris Paul is at or has played in has been a contender. The New Orleans Hornets, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Houston Rockets, even the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a team that's going to go to the playoffs, and I think with Chris Paul, they will at least make it to the second round. Can they get over that hump, depending on who they're playing in that second round, and make the Western Conference Finals? I think we need to see Devin Booker have a phenomenal year ending the season. He doesn't need to do much right now because they have great players like Deontay Aiden, I believe, and the addition of Chris Paul. This is a core that can win, that can be competitive, and can give Chris Paul life. If Chris Paul feels like this team has a chance, I think we're going to get the all-star level quality out of the point guard that we expect to see, that we have seen in the past, especially when he was with the Clippers. I think Chris Paul was the last piece that the Suns needed. Now, granted, they could add another piece, but for this season and what was being offered in the offseason, Chris Paul, I think, was a great fit. And I think the Suns might actually make a run, because right now teams like the Nuggets are looking suspect. Teams like the Rockets are looking suspect. And we don't know what to expect out of the Clippers. So is this the team that's going to face LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals? I think it's safe to bet that they could be, but we still got to see a little bit more. But for right now, a great, phenomenal start. I'm sure Chris Paul is happy. I'm sure Devin Booker feels like he's getting help finally. I think the Suns team is very dangerous, and you should pay attention to them.